back to episode 29 of the NoStoppingKev show. We back. It's a little cloudy outside, but not going to let that cloud my day. How are you doing?
Well, I'm doing pretty good this week. Pretty good. I had a pretty good week, I guess. Some ups and downs during the week.
Oh, any highlights?
Well, no, not real. Just I've been enjoying going to work, and working that shift, so working daylight. So.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, that's a good thing. That's the best thing that's going on right now.
Yeah, I guess for me, things are going well at the 9 to 5, but also coaching has been going pretty well. So right now we are 3-2 overall, 1-1 in league games. Should be 2-0, but defensive execution was off on Tuesday. But we corrected it on Thursday. Played a similar style team, and we stuck to the game plan. So it was fun.
So you said, well, you've been saying you had one good game, but you said 3-2 now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you won 2 in a row?
No. Lost on Tuesday and lost last Friday. So I guess we've been alternating games. Yep. I guess we won 2 straight on Saturday and then the following Monday. But we're doing all right. Starting to, find guys some minutes that we're having trouble finding minutes the first few games of the season. So finding spots where they're comfortable. Points in the game where they're comfortable. We had a guy put up 21 off the bench.
A guy scored 21 off the bench?
Yep.
Is he still coming off the bench?
Yeah, he's still going to come off the bench probably. Beginning of the season, I thought he'd be a starter. But I don't know, I kind of, certain guys, you like him to kind of come off the bench because of the energy level. Energy they bring, as far as he's not really a point guard, but he's somebody you can put on the wing, and he's going to play some defense, get some rebounds, even though he's 5'7".
He's 5'7"?
Yeah.
And this the one that had 21?
Yep.
Yeah. And you play him on the wing?
Mm-hmm.
You mean as a 2?
All our guys are the same size.
All your guys are the same size?
Yeah, for the most part, those guards and wings, they're all in that 5'7" to 6 foot range.
So how tall is the tallest player?
We got a kid that's 6'4".
Right.
He come off the bench. He trying to earn some minutes. We working with him. He's work in progress. But he give it all he got. So he'll get a couple minutes when he can. Thursday was fun, though. It was like, when you're in that game and it's coming down to the wire. It's been back and forth the entire contest. And it's like the last 5 minutes, I'm like, this is going to come down to coaching. Whose team is going to execute? And my boys did it. All they team kind of did was high ball screen. Never hit the roll man. Not once did they hit the roll guy. And it wasn't a lot of movement. I'm like, yo, we just going to sit. We just going to pack this paint real fast. And our boys did it. They kind of stuck to it. And the only reason the game was close was because in the second and third quarters, they didn't stick to the game plan defensively. So they were getting some easy buckets they shouldn't have been getting. And then we just got to take care of the ball. But overall, they pulled through. So it was a nice... It's fun when you have games when, you got to work the entire game to get the W.
It's fun then when you got to work the whole game?
Yeah, it's more fulfilling. You can get blown out or you can blow a team out. But when you come out with a W in a hard-fought match, then that's something to hang your hat on.
Well, don't you think just coaching is fun too? Seeing your players produce and
yeah, but I like them to
and execute.
It's fun when you got to scratch and claw and figure things out. Those are the harder victories. Where they come from behind when you're down like 30 and you come all the way back to win. Had one of those before. think I might actually had 2 of them.
That seems like some of the games in the NBA now.
Yeah.
Teams get leaks and
Clippers almost blew one yesterday.
The Clippers, they did pull that out last night?
Thankfully.
They doing good now, still.
Yeah, it's just with that lineup, it's a little bit hard to match up with. And they didn't even have, I don't even think Beverly or Lou Williams played last night.
Yeah, I didn't see Lou in there.
So, but yeah, like the Sixers blow leads, which has to stop. But we can talk about that at a different time.
Yeah.
So today, a couple things I want to talk about. One, NBA basketball related, that ties directly into life. But this whole Deion Waiters saga, you know what's going on?
No.
All right, so Deion, Philly product, went to Syracuse, number 4 overall draft pick in 2012. When he was at Syracuse, he was like their best player, but he was coming off the bench. 6-man James Harden style, get buckets. All right, so he got drafted by Cleveland. Then he played for a stretch in OKC, and now he's been with Miami the last 4 years. But on November 10th, he was suspended for 10 games. You didn't hear about this?
I vaguely heard. I heard of something about that.
So apparently he had like some panic attacks on a flight to, I think they might have been going to San Antonio. But the panic attacks were the result of consuming THC-infused edibles.
THC edibles?
Yeah, you know what that is?
No.
It's like marijuana-infused gummy bears.
And gummy bear and candy.
Yeah, you can put it in anything. Some people do brownies, cookies. He had gummies. Don't know where he got it from. So the team suspended him 10 games for conduct detrimental to the team. Then I'm like, this was back in November, early November. I'm like, I know they played 10 games by now, right? It's been a month.
Right.
So I'm like, he should be coming back. He was recently suspended again for another 6 games for, I don't know if details were disclosed, but also like conduct detrimental to the team.
So he getting ready to throw his career away.
That's what it seems like, because these aren't his first 2 suspensions. He was reprimanded in the past for making comments after a game about playing time. So, he's causing some drama.
Yeah. It do seem like, I just heard vaguely, like since I've been working early in the morning, I haven't been able to really catch up with the news like I was watching the news before.
Hey, you gotta get that. You gotta turn on that nightly news then.
I turn it on. I turn it on like at 3 in the morning. But that give you like the sports and all like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I gotta go straight because I always listen to Good Morning. I've just been so used to Good Morning.
Mm-hmm. So it's like with Deion. Even last season, he only played 44 games. I believe he had an injury in there, but he averaged 12, 3, and 3. Those aren't big numbers for a guy that was hunting for a big contract, right? And so when you start to have off the court issues, it's not going to help your case because, one, your production on the court is seemingly not the greatest. And now, if the team is looking to sign you, it's like, all right, we're going to have to deal with off the court. And because they're taking on that risk, it's probably going to cost you a couple dollars in the long run.
Well, you know what? Like I said, it can cost him because, like you said, his numbers. Look at his numbers. Them numbers can be replaced kind of easily.
Yeah, 12, 3, and 3.
Yeah. Look
Korkmaz can get that.
Yeah. But, I mean, look what Carmelo coming back and doing. So, he taking a spot for somebody. He just holding places. I believe they can get rid of a person like that with not too much loss. When you're too much trouble off the court, too. And when you bringing bad news, bad news to it.
And Miami has been playing well this season. They lost their first game at home against the Lakers Friday night. But they've been going in and giving teams their first loss at home.
Yeah.
So they've been playing really well, kind of a surprise team when you talk about the East being a 3-horse race to start the season, or really a 2-horse race at first when everybody thought it was just gonna be Milwaukee and the Sixers, but Boston's playing well, Toronto's playing well, Miami's playing well, Charlotte's actually playing pretty well. So, it's like, yo, you better. He's probably not gonna be in Miami that much longer.
Oh, they better hope he be in the league.
Yeah, that's true. And one thing, I'm talking to my players. Every now and then they got to go through a growth phase. So I had a player this past week who I had to have a talk with him because head was getting a little too big for his britches, kind of thing. And this kid, like for instance, when you go to the captain circle.
Yeah.
I called two guys because we hadn't discussed who was gonna be captains this season, but I called two guys that, they on that level, right? Like they've been stamped, they're approved because they've been, tested mentally, physically, showed leadership through adversity. So they were my guys to come in, and this other guy was like, I guess he felt like he should be there, right? He decided to step into the circle anyway, right? Before a game, I'm like, I got bigger things to worry about right now, so I'll deal with that later. And then when we lost on Tuesday night, I had this kid saying he should have been on the floor, right? I should have been on the floor. So I tried to give him an out because I was about to go in on him on the bus, and I was like, bro, you said that twice, and he was like, yeah, I needed so and so to hear me or something, right?
That's what he said?
Yeah, he wanted another player to hear him. And I was like, you talking about today's game? And he was like, yeah. And I got ready to say, you want to know why you were on the floor? But then I was like, no, we'll talk. We're going to talk about it. And so we talked about it the next day at practice. And kid didn't put up crazy numbers on Tuesday in our loss. No double-digit scoring. He gave up probably twice as many points than he actually scored because I'm like, defensively, you were liability. Like, hey, you weren't doing things that we talk about. Like, we talk about sprinting back, you still jogging back. So, no, you shouldn't be on the floor because you probably would have given up more points. But then Thursday turned around. Didn't even think about going into the circle. But he came out and he played big minutes. Defense was still needs some work. We talked about that again. But he came on in the fourth and hit some big shots. Finally, because he was due up for some big shots.
So he really be contributing to y'all.
He can. That was the first game where, he had some meaningful points. Because all his points came in the fourth quarter. Finally got the 3-ball going. Hit a 2 and got to the line. So he had some clutch buckets for us to push us over the hump. But, I share that because sometimes mentally, your perspective on things can really lead you astray. He's kind of walking around with this sense of entitlement. It's like, no, you gotta work for everything here. You gotta work for everything that you'll ever have, in a lot of cases. And so you can't get consumed with who you think you are or who you want to be. You gotta stick to that grind and keep working. And I mean, accolades and respect and, acknowledgement, all that's gonna come. But sometimes you need that little bit of a reality check, which you look at guys in the NBA, sometimes they need that more often than not, right?
Yeah. So, like, I'm just saying he need to be a little bit more humble or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Thursday he returned to form because it was kind of out of character for him.
Okay.
And one of the cool things about coaching high school is that's like a big growth phase of your life, right? You kind of start transitioning from like into manhood, kind of, so it's so sometimes you just gotta, you keep trying to help them develop, but every now and then you gotta snatch him back a little bit, be like, hey, you're not there yet, slow it down. But he responded well. So I don't think I have to worry about him too much for the rest of the year. But I just think that with this Deion Waiter story in particular, anything you do kind of career-wise, you always got to be a professional. You got to always think about the repercussions of any actions that you take, good or bad, right? And I think one thing in particular with athletes or anybody, you always kind of have some people that are looking up to you, right? So in this case, Deion Waiters is a household name here in the city, right? So there's a lot of kids that probably look up to him when his name is in the news. It's going to be on our TVs here locally. And so it's definitely something that you got to consider, and, always consider the example you're setting. And, some people will probably disagree with, athletes need to be held to a higher standard because they're human just like us.
Right.
But it's like there's more eyes on them. So it's almost a greater sense of responsibility. And, and I believe that no matter who you are, you should always kind of hold yourself to that higher standard, because you should always be a role model to someone.
It's something that you talking about this because, like, I was telling a guy the other day, about, doing things in his brother's eyes, like in his sight, like you doing wrong and you telling your brother how to do wrong. And I was telling him, you need to set a better example for your brother. He said, well, I'm not doing this in front of him. And I said, but you still doing wrong in front of him. So you still, no matter what you doing, you're still doing wrong and bringing him, and he going to think that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you consider this not to be, you should want the best for him. Like I always used to say with me, I wanted you to be better. So I couldn't do things around you and let you see things that this. Like, I mean, you can tell anybody anything, but if you doing it, like we talked about this time and time again, and that's like you saying athletes are role model. You're a role model. You think people don't watch you? You think you don't even know who watching you. You don't know who that you can be a idol to. Like sometimes, like I used to always tell people, my idol in basketball was a person that I could talk to or I got on the court with. That was my idol. You know what I mean? And all the players there was there, but this is somebody there. And like you said, that's what you said.
And, I just, like, whether it's a relative, a peer at work, whoever, I just feel like we always can help someone by, being a good example and showing what's the right thing to do. And the other thing is, I'm just tired of seeing, pro athletes, celebrities jeopardize their whole career for things that aren't worth it. Excuse me. Like, is having banned substances, and, I guess you can't say he knew he would have panic attacks as a result. Maybe he went over his limit, but is that really worth jeopardizing your career or that next big contract? Because the other thing you got to think about too, or you would at least think would happen, is once you have an incident like that, you got to be on the straight and narrow, right? And especially when you know the business side of sports. So we just need guys to be more aware, think about the cause and effect. I think that's a big thing in life that a lot of people don't think about until it's too late, right? You don't think about the impact that, your decisions had until you're in a bad spot. So kind of always, go through life thinking about, strategically thinking about the decisions that you're going to make. So like, if I do X, what is my Y going to equal? And then after that, decide if that's the decisions you want to make.
Like you're saying, like sometimes, like you said, you don't think of the decision till it's too late.
Mm-hmm.
And like when you talk about that, like it's just crazy how you, and then like, what, I can't speak for everybody else, but I could just say in my life sometimes I just never believed that I was gonna get caught, or I knew that I know it's a possibility that, but I didn't think about that. And then you don't really worry about it until it's too late.
Why do you think that happens?
It's just like, I don't know, for me, it's just my thinking and how messed up my thinking was. And like, and it's, what, it's all about being selfish and everything else too. All that goes right along with that. Because you're only really thinking about yourself. You're not thinking about who else is going to get hurt by your decision. Now, just like you saying, he got a nice contract, probably a nice life right now, right? Now, if he lose that contract, who gonna be hurt by that? If he got kids, his wife, their whole lifestyle gotta change over that decision, just like you said. But you don't think about all that. You just looking for your instant gratification because we talking about what we talking about THC and stuff like that. So that's something that he for his enjoyment.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, the downfall can be like now I learned to look like for me, my time that I had to spend away from y'all, it hurt y'all. It hurt y'all. It hurt me, but it still hurt y'all. It still had an effect. And it had an effect that I didn't think about that all at that time. It's funny. Somebody said something to me the other day, and I don't know if he was joking or playing. And he was talking about, help him get a pack. I said, man, is you crazy? You got to really be crazy. I ain't, like now, I said, man, I have too much time to get involved with something like that. Or to go back like that. And it's funny. It's like really funny.
Just know you have to deal with me.
You know what? Before I even got to deal with you, I ain't trying to deal with none of that.
Yeah, there you go. Because best believe first beat down will be coming from me. So you don't want to deal with that. Put these hands on you.
Well, see, I'm allow you to say that because I ain't gonna have to worry about it coming from that because I'm not going there.
Good to know your mind's in the right place.
Oh, believe me, I don't want to live that life no more. Then you give people what little control that you do have. You have no control there now.
Mm-hmm.
You have no control. Like it's like sometimes I say it's like living in a zoo, man.
Mm-hmm.
You got to go in the cage. They flick lights to tell you what to do. They ain't got to open their mouth to tell you what to do.
Oh man, yeah. Yeah. So I guess more of the story for, this discussion is kind of be responsible and always think about consequences, right? Before it's too late. Really think about the results that can come from your decisions, whether, they're good or bad results. And always hold yourself accountable and control your narrative and your reputation. Because it takes a lot of time to build it up, but like that, it can all be, kind of torn away.
You know what? It's funny when you just said your consequences, right? Because when I was in Harrisburg and, there, on the board it had, did your consequences outweigh the benefits?
Mm-hmm.
And that was something like, I used to look at every day and just read that every day. And when you say that, and I used to always say, no, it didn't. It didn't. So like you said, yeah, you got to weigh that. You got to take a look at it.
Speaking of, I want to take a little quick pause and just remind everybody, if you don't already, please follow us on Instagram and Facebook at the NoStoppingKev Show. Also, we have merch, people. Go on our sites, click on the link, and fill out your order form. That's all I got right now. You got anything?
No.
Before we get to this next segment?
No.
And also, just while we're here, you can also find us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, and Podbean. I actually almost said your site.
I don't have the site.
All right, so speaking a little bit about prison, I came across... So whenever I'm scrolling on like Facebook and stuff, I save a lot of articles and I go back to them. This one was from almost a month ago, right? But it was a story about... It was in the Inquirer. That Pennsylvania will no longer hold death row prisoners in endless solitary confinement. That's messed up. That they were doing that.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
Keep them in solitary?
Yeah.
Oh, just the death row people.
Yeah, keeping them endless. Like, so, let me give you a little bit more. You over there tearing up?
No.
You sure?
No, yeah. I'm sure I can.
You need to share or something?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
All right,
I'm just listening to this.
So this guy, Jimmy Dennis, and the article talks about how, like, after 2 decades that he'd been in solitary confinement, where he would have to be strip searched and shackled when they would move him about the prison from cage to cage. He said in 2008, he just stopped leaving his cell. So he wasn't showering anymore. He wasn't going to the library. He wasn't going to visits. And then he was released 9 years later in 2017 when a federal judge found out that he was wrongly convicted of killing a teenage girl for gold earrings back in 92 because prosecutors withheld key evidence. So he was wrongly convicted,
Wow.
Sentenced to death for all these years. And, the things that this guy had to go through, he still hasn't recovered from the trauma. So, in November of this year, the PA Department of Corrections, they came with big changes. So I guess we have like 136 people in Pennsylvania that were sentenced to death. And now these inmates will be able to, have many of the same rights as other people in general population. So, they can be out of their cells for 42 and a half hours per week or more. They can use the phone for at least 15 minutes a day. They can have contact visits with family members who they haven't hugged in decades, some of them. So this is, a big change. And, I was reading this article, and when you're in solitary confinement, like, they don't even dim the lights at nighttime. So you're in this constant state of sleep deprivation, which isn't good for your health. You got to your body needs to rest so that you can, that's a big part of maintaining good physical health and mental health, right? And, that alone, I'm just like, how are they doing that to these people? And then the big thing was the reason that, these changes were brought about was because the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office did a study, right? And they found that, out of all the cases, all the capital cases, 72% of them resulted in, hold on, let me get this right. I'm going to get this right. Give me a second. 72% of all the city's capital cases from the last 40 years were most likely to be overturned, and people were exonerated. So people were being sentenced that shouldn't have been sentenced. 72%, that's most of them. So that's like literally dig your hand in the bag. You're probably going to pick out a person who shouldn't be there, right? It's like these people would either be like transitioned to general population or, released. So we're doing something wrong in treating these people inhumanely. But, one thing that I wanted to, I guess, kind of talk about is the importance of, like, I know for you, one of the big things for being able to have your, like, support groups when you're in there, right?
Right.
And so, these guys weren't really able to have that. And so, when you go years and years, decades and decades of not having that, it becomes very difficult to transition back into interacting with people. Like, mentally, your mind takes a beating during that time because you have nothing. You probably still haven't seen When They See Us, right?
Huh?
You probably still haven't seen When They See Us.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
You need to watch that because my man Corey Wise, they show him when he was in prison. It would kind of be like almost having nightmares when he was in solitary confinement. Like his mind would just go places, and it's not mentally healthy, right? You got to be able to interact with people, talk to people, read, exercise your brain, exercise physically, So the fact that they weren't getting all this was, outlandish, and it shows you the crazy world that we live in, and especially when, I'm glad that the study kind of drove the change, because if you see people, to sentence someone to death, right? I don't believe we should necessarily do that anyway. Cause
Somebody to death.
yeah, I don't. I personally believe that's not my job. I do believe people should be held accountable, but being in a world where you see people be wrongfully convicted, like a life sentence is much different than a death sentence. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted you to share a little bit about the impact that your support groups kind of had on your time while you were incarcerated.
Well, see, for me, like I always say, it was good for me. You know, it put me in places and with some people that I wouldn't have been with out here, or I wouldn't have got around. You know, I just needed, like, I needed, you know, it was funny when I first went there, like, then I found in the chapel where the guy took me there and had movies. And, like, it was me just really just trying to stay out of the way. And then, like, you know what? See, like, you know what? No, and I gotta say this. I had to give my God the credit for this. And I had to give my God the credit for steering me in the right direction. See, because I drove my life to where it took me there. But you know, when he put me around people and put people in my life that, you know, started making me see things right and see things in a different direction. You know, that was a part that like I really had to say. Like and it just was a feeling like, you know, it was just to stay away from the negative. And the negative always came. It always was there. But it was just a change in my life. And a change in what? And like, you know what? It's still a battle today. It's still a battle. I mean, it's not hard today to stay away. I mean, it's easier today to stay away because I know like where that would lead me. And you know what? And I just need like not go around certain people, places, and things.
Mm-hmm.
You know. But the positive thing is right there, even in jail. You know, but you gotta get with it. You gotta go that way. You know, 'cause believe me, it's a lot more negative in there than it is positive. You know.
I'm just happy that, you know, these guys get to, so the people that are, you know, transitioning back into general population, they're gonna get, you know, therapy and resocialization classes, but it's still gonna be hard. I feel like it's still gonna be an upward battle. You know, hopefully, you know, for a lot of these guys, things go well. But the sad thing is the damage is done. You know, it's like even with the exonerated 5. So definitely watch When They See Us. You got another homework assignment. It's like you take 30 years of someone's life. Like, we can't get that time back. Once they release you, they can't say, oh, I'm going to take you back to when you were 16 and you were actually innocent. You know, like that, it doesn't work that way. You get out, you're at 45 now or 46, and it is what it is. You got to try to find a way to keep moving forward, but you don't get time back. You don't get those moments back with your family.
I mean, like, you talk about solitary confinement. You know, some people go to the hole, and the hole is like, you know, you really, it's like probably like solitary confinement.
Yeah, that's
like
what it is, I think.
You know, like you get to come, you don't get to come out with nobody. You know,
Yeah, right. That's what it is.
Yeah, you know, you don't. Like it's just something like, you know, and like when you say that, but you know what? Just imagine people did 20 years. You know, like, you know what? Remember, 20 years ago they probably had like I ain't good with phones now, but imagine the phones they had now, and they don't, and everything changed. The shape of cars has changed, like the whole thing. And like sometimes, like, you know, and I don't know, like I ran across some people, and one guy just told me he came home for doing 20 years. I didn't really have a conversation with them, you know, about it. But like, you know what? Now I might ask a person like how it really feel, you know, doing that. See, I didn't do that time, and like, you know what? I was blessed to be able to communicate and be around like some people. You know, some people like, I mean, if you do 20 years, like, you know, some people just go to the gym. All they do is work out.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they really do. You know, we were blessed to have TVs and watch TVs. Like, I mean, in states you got TV in your cells. Us, we had to go to the TV room and stuff and watch TV. You know, You know, like when you're in the county or stuff like that, you may not even have no TV.
Mm-hmm.
You know. I don't know. I just know one thing is, like, you know what? It just made me not want to live that way. You know, like, it's just crazy because you, like, what you want to eat, you got to eat what they give you to eat. Like, you know, I used to tell people, like, you better off, like, you know, at least if you hustle up $1, you can go buy what you want off the dollar menu. You know, you can still get something.
Mm-hmm.
It's just something, man. Then if fights or something break down, they might lock you down. You might be locked down. Like I remember being, you might be locked down for I don't know how many days.
Yeah.
You know, and then by that now when you get locked down at time, you don't get to shower every day. You know, it may give you a shower once or twice a week. You know, like I'm just saying, it ain't something that you really want to do or be at. Freedom is the best thing. Make the right decision. Make the right choice, man.
Think about those consequences.
Yeah.
And, you know, just remember cause and effect.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got to get ready to bounce. As always, thank you for tuning in. We really appreciate you. Enjoy this holiday season with your family. Gonna remind the people where they can find us.
You already told us.
Yeah, it's your turn now.
I know, I'm not good with that.
Come on, name two.
Huh? YouTube, Instagram, to go to.
Sure. All right. You can listen to the podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, and Podbean. Social media, how can they find us on there, though?
Why you always trying to put me on the spot?
Helping you grow, man.
Okay.
At what?
Huh?
At what?
NoStoppingKev.
That's where you can find me. But you find a podcast at the No Stopping Kev Show.
Oh, I left the D out. Okay.
And you left out show, but
Oh, okay.
whew, don't know what I'm gonna do with you. All right. Did I forget anything?
No.
Yes.
What?
Go on to our social media sites. Find that form or email us, and I'll send you the form. So our email is nostoppingkev@gmail.com. Because why you laughing?
Because you always nothing.
Hit us up so you can buy merch. All right, we got hoodies, crew necks, t-shirts. They fly. People love them. I said people because my opinion don't matter. It's what everybody else thinks when it comes to getting that product. So, y'all can rep the podcast and raise awareness for what we trying to do. It's a win-win all the way around. All the way around. So, really commit to becoming a part of our podcast family. But I'm going to let y'all go. Just want y'all to enjoy y'all weeks. You know, and I guess a challenge for this week is each day before you go to bed, you know, after you put down that smartphone because all that blue light don't allow you to get enough red light when you go to sleep. So then you don't get to deep sleep fast enough. So put that phone down. Your challenge this week is each night say 3 things that you're thankful for before you go to bed. I'm gonna leave y'all with that.
Sounds good to me.
All right, you gonna do it? You starting tonight?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm gonna start today. I'm gonna remind myself all through the day.
All right. That's what I'm talking
help
about.
my day go. You know, staying positive and being grateful and being thankful. That'll help me because I definitely need it.
You need some help. Oh man. All right, gotta get up out of here. Peace, love y'all. Till next time.
And God bless y'all.